Hey everyone, welcome. Sheriff Khan here for more cricket stuff for you. Today and moving onwards, we will do previews of the teams that will be competing for the 2021 T20 World Cup in the UAE. And we're going to start off in an alphabetical order, start off with Afghanistan as the team to discuss. And decided to do so at the end of the last video because one of the view comments came in about Afghanistan and he made a good point. He said Afghanistan does have good chances of doing well at the T20 World Cup because of their strength in their spin bowling department. As we all know, Afghanistan has one of the most dynamic T20 player and spinner by the name of Rashid Khan. And alongside Rashid Khan, they also have a couple of other really exciting, talented spinners. Qais Ahmed is one who has played in the PSL for Quetta Gladiators. And alongside Qais Ahmed, there is another really exciting, talented spinner who played for the Karachi Kings in this last PSL, and his name is Noor Ahmed. So Afghanistan has a quartet of leggies. Rashid and Qais Ahmed bowl orthodox leg spin, and Noor Ahmed bowls the Chinaman. He's a left-arm leg spinner. And so in those three, they have, you could argue, 12 overs of pretty decent quality of bowling for opposition to face. And why those 12 overs could be so important is because we don't know how well batsmen play the Chinaman spin in this current, among the current great batters. Other than Yadav from India, I can't think of many other talented Chinaman bowlers. So it'd be really interesting to see how much they play Noor Ahmed, how much he continues to improve his game, how mentally strong he will be as a young teenager playing against these opposition batsmen, whether he will be faced by the occasion, whether he will be quote unquote found out because batsmen will start to understand his varieties better, or if he's just going to keep improving like Rashid Khan did. Because Rashid Khan, I recall vividly, when he was an under 19 player, he didn't have that kind of cachet. Nobody really knew who he was. And then very quickly, he catapulted to becoming debatably one could consider him to be, I guess, top 5 spinners in the world today. Maybe even top 2 if you were to just focus on T20. Or top 1 even, based on his batting and everything he brings to the table. So how will Noor Ahmed improve? Will he also catapult like that? If he does, I do think Afghanistan will be a serious threat just because of those two guys. Because T20, after all, I do think is one with bowling. No matter how gun your batting order is, you have to be a good bowling side to win T20 World Cups. And even the example of West Indies, that is considered to be a high octane T20 batting lineup where from 1 to 9 everybody hits sixes, and if they hit like 10 sixes, that's 60 runs already in front of you. So they can always, the fear as a West Indies, it's hard to contain them. You can have them down to 80 runs in 15 overs and then still be able to potentially score another 80 runs in the last 5. So they can always you're never secure bowling against them because they have so many guys who hit sixes. Nevertheless, I do think if you look at West Indies' success in these global T20 World Cup champions tournaments, I do think their bowling is what helped, what allowed them to actually win these World Cups. So even if you go to the last one they won against England in India, it was a low scoring game. Only 120 runs were scored. And even though Carlos Brathwaite was the one who scored those 3 sixes to win them the match in the last over, scoring close to 20 runs in the last over, they were able to restrict England to only 120. And if you remember, England back then had started this change towards a very aggressive batting lineup. So Jason Roy was the opener of that team, if you recall, but Samuel Badri bowled him between the gates. Roy has improved his batting, but nevertheless, Samuel Badri was one hell of a T20 bowler. Really, really, I believe, probably one of the best opening T20 bowlers in the power play. Samuel Badri was awesome. And so they had Badri, they had Narain, they had Dwayne Bravo, Andre Russell. They had some overs of Sammy, maybe 2. I don't know if he bowled that much. But they also had some really veteran bowlers as well. A fast bowler whose name I'm forgetting, but a couple of other guys too. So you don't need pace necessarily, but you need a group of five bowlers who know their roles and know exactly what they're going to do. A sixth option is always useful, but I think if you have five bowlers that bring variety to the table, you're going to do pretty well in T20 cricket. A fast bowler who's good at bowling death, who's good at bowling off cutters, who's good at bowling off the back slower balls, but most importantly, who can nail those Yorkers at any time. Yorker is a ball that remains, I think, very relevant in the game. Fair enough, because the batsmen are now playing the scoop shot, it is harder to really know what the Yorker length is because they're hitting the ball. What used to be the Yorker length has been converted into a full toss if you're going to play that a scoop shot, because these guys, their head is still, they're on the ground, and they're opening their bat up and out here. So what used to be a Yorker ball would have to be dug out, but now their hands are their bats are right in front, so they can scoop the ball over the head of over their head and the keeper's head, in between the leg gully and the keeper region for a four or a six. So fair enough, Yorker has been in many ways challenged in modern day game, but nevertheless, I do think that no, you don't have to be predictable with your Yorker. That could be found out. That could be a cause for going for many runs. But I think you have to be really good at executing your Yorkers, and you have to be good at knowing when to bowl those Yorkers and who to bowl it against, and what line the Yorker should be bowled. It's no more about the length of the Yorker. It's really about the line. Against Andre Russell, what Mitchell Stark realized is if you go for a Yorker that's in between the middle and the leg stump and attack his onside game, and not allow him to open his arms, but having to play more wrist and having to play more through the mid wicket region, you could get him a little more contained than otherwise. And so that's one way is to go into the body with the Yorker. The other way is to go out of the body, bowl close to the wide line. Depends on the batsman, depends on the field sets, and depends on how well you are at bowling those kinds of deliveries. But I think the Yorker remains a key delivery. So you need somebody who's a fast bowler with variety, but also the ability to bowl Yorkers. You need leg spin because leg spin means wickets. And an off spinner is useful too, specifically with like the power play. If you have a opener who's a left-handed batsman, off spin against left arm batting remains a really great matchup for the bowler. So what does Afghanistan have? So we can, based on this team they selected to play against Pakistan in Hamdan Tota, which will be played, I think, I don't know, in a month or something like that. They have a team of ODI. Now, this team is not necessarily a great rubric or a great, blueprint, like a model for what they will ultimately pick in their World Cup squad. Yet, nevertheless, it gives us an idea of which way they're going. One of the interesting things with this squad is it's very youth-centered. Okay, so you don't have that many older players, other than a guy like Kareem Jannat, who is a all-rounder, kind of bowls, kind of bats. Not necessarily a star, but he's been around and he's making a sort of a comeback. Other than that, I don't necessarily see too many older players. The only older player who remains part of the team and is an automatic selection, because I think as a complete player, he's potentially their best player, is Mohammad Nabi. So Nabi is there. Nabi offers you great off spin. He's a perfect kind of 5 down, 4 down batsman, and can bat really well at that position and gives you really good bowling as well with his off spin. So he's there. But apart from that, it's a team full of youngsters. So some key names missing is their former captain, Asghar Afghan, or as he used to be, Asghar Sanikzai. He's no more in the team, and it's been very weird with him because every now and then he's the captain of the team or he gets kicked out of the team, and he comes back and he captains again, and he does a good job of captaining the team. His team does really well. He's had a very good record as a captain, but for some reason, whenever he starts to do well as a captain, he again gets deposed and it doesn't even make it to the team. So I don't know what's going in the Afghan cricketing fraternity with regards to his position in the team, but he's not there. Hamid Hassan, the best fast bowler Afghanistan has produced, and one would argue maybe potentially South Asia has produced over the last 15 years. Hamid Hassan is a hell of a bowler, but I think he might have retired from ODI cricket, most certainly. I think the World Cup in 2019 was his last. I don't know if he still plays T20 cricket or not. I try to figure out, doing some research on Twitter, can't really figure out if he's still involved in the cricketing setup as a player or if he's more involved in the coaching side of the affair. So no more Hamid Hassan. But then there was another bowler as well who was a right-arm fast bowler, and he's not making the team either. And he used to be a pretty good bowler too. So I don't know what's going on with him, whether he's injured or he's being rested. But Hamid Hassan is not there. Some of the other fast bowlers like Shapur Zadran, they're not there. So the old trio of fast bowlers are not around. Um, so what we have among the fast bowling lineup is Naveen ul Haq, who plays mostly league cricket in like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, etc., and T10s. And he's the only fast bowler apart from Fazal Haq Faruqi, who I've never met and never seen play. And I don't think he's played that much, even domestic cricket in Afghan setup. So complete outsider. We don't know anything about him. That seems to be the only fast bowlers on their lineup, because then the rest of the bowling lineup consists of Mujibur Rahman, Noor Ahmed, and of course Rashid Khan. And then they have some all-rounders in Nabi, in Kareem Jannat, Azmat or Umarzai, Abdul Rahman, and yeah, that's it. So the bowling lineup in this one-day squad seems heavily dominated with spin. They will definitely go with Rashid Khan, with Noor Ahmed, and with Mujibur Rahman, and with Naveen ul Haq. And then a fifth bowler, it will be Mohammad Nabi. And whether they go for another fast bowler is what the question will remain. So Fazal Haq Faruqi seems like he might get a chance to play, because I don't see any other fast bowlers in the lineup. Maybe they'll go with Kareem Jannat, who I think bowls some medium pace. Why they did not select Gulbadin Naib is another question. I don't know. He's another senior player, former captain in the 2019 World Cup, not in the squad. So I don't know what's the reason behind that. Their leadership for the ODI team consists of Hashmatullah Shahidi as the captain. He's a left-handed middle order, top middle order, upper middle order batsman. I think he bats around 2 down or 1 down. And then Rahmat Shah, who's also an upper middle order batsman. Both of them approach batting in a very similar way. They have a very defensive technique. They're very cautious. They don't hit too many balls in the air. They're very different than what you would quintessentially think of an Afghani batter, somebody who is technically maybe a little deficient, but has great hand-eye coordination, amazing strength, and takes on the bowlers without caring for their reputation. These two are very different than that. They're very technically sound, very kind of like a coaching manual batsman, very straight, play in the V, play with a straight bat kind of players. Their strike rate is quite low. It's in the 60s, early 70s, which is very low for the modern day game, but maybe they'll improve on that. But then nonetheless, they remain the nucleus of the batting. Rahmat Shah and Hashmatullah Shahidi. Rahmanullah Gurbaz is their frontline wicketkeeper, and the backup wicketkeeper will be Ikram Ali Khil. Ikram Ali Khil was the keeper that they played in the 2019 World Cup when Mohammad Shahzad was kicked back into Afghanistan. So what's going on with Shahzad, another key senior player, we do not know. He's not part of the squad either. And that is something I do not really know anything about, because really in terms of run scores, Shahzad has been their best batsman. So not being played is something strange. So yeah, based on the squad, some new guys. Siddiq Atal is a new player we don't know anything about, and yeah, and Najib Zadran will be sort of lower order batsman. He's in the squad too. So based on this, if you look at the T20 squad, what we can pretty much know for certain is that you will have Najib Zadran. He's the vice captain of the T20 squad, so he definitely will be playing in that squad. He'll play around 4 down. You're going to have Mohammad Nabi, who'll probably bat 5 down. You're going to have Rashid Khan, Rashid Khan is going to bat 6 down. I think those 3 slots are pretty confirmed for Afghanistan. Not bad. And Najibullah Zadran's a good lower order batsman. Nabi is a very fine 5 down batsman. He could bat up in the order too, but I think he prefers over lower down there. And Rashid Khan 6 down is fine too. So you have a decent lower middle order and lower order in general. And then you'll follow that with Mujibur Rahman and with Noor Ahmed and a fast bowler. So that's pretty much sets up Afghanistan 4 down to number last man in the T20 setup. The question is, what is going to be the top 6? That's something we do not know anything about, because no, you don't have any more Mohammad Shahzad, so I have no idea who your opening batsmen are going to be. Noor Ali Zadran, who's a very technically, very stylish looking batsman, but I think he's getting older in age. I don't know if he still plays T20. He's probably not going to be in the squad base, just assuming that we haven't seen much of him lately as well. Are they going to bring in Asghar Afghan again? If they do, he probably would fit into that 3 down batsman. I don't know if they want him in the T20 squad. Can't be certain, most probably not. So there's not a lot of knowledge I have to really predict what the Afghanistan top 6 will look like. But it seems pretty certain what from 6 to 11 will look like. The last 5 seems to be pretty certain. Kes Ahmed is as a reserve player for this ODI squad, but I do think he will probably be picked for the T20 squad. So if they do go with that, they're going to have a litany of leg spin. Kes Ahmed, Mujibur Rahman, Rashid Khan, and Noor Ahmed. That's four leg spinners. Could you play four leg spinners in a T20 match? The answer is yeah, you can. It would be cool because I don't think anybody else will be picking four leg spinners, let alone two. I mean, so it would be very interesting if they go that route. The question really is, will the UAE pitches actually be suiting spin bowling as much as we expect it to be suiting spin bowling? The PSL suggests you actually do need really good fast bowling as well. The Multan Sultan squad that won the PSL and seemed like the most balanced squad of all, they had a battery of fast bowlers with Imran Khan Jr., a Blessing Muzrabani from Zimbabwe, and Shahnawaz Dani, the emerging player from Pakistan, and another fourth one, I believe, Sohail Tanveer, another experienced bowler. So they went with four pacers and Imran Tahir, South Africa, Pakistan, leg spin. So Imran Tahir, they got this incredibly well recognized, trusted, successful, experienced, skillful T20 bowler who you can bank on to deliver four quality overs. But then they paired him with four fast bowlers around him. And it worked. And it looked like it would have worked as well because it wasn't some kind of a risky ploy. The pitches actually suited such kind of bowling. Afghanistan cannot really put a lineup like that. They don't have four really high quality fast bowlers that they can pair around Rashid Khan. They have four really exciting leg spinners, however. Now, will they pair a fast bowler around four really quality leg spinners? Probably should do that. If I were them, I would just do that and probably have Naveen ul Haq be the fast bowler. But what they will probably do is they're going to have Nabi, they're going to have Rashid Khan. That's going to be two of their five bowlers. They're going to bowl Noor Ahmed, that's three. Probably Mujib or Kais, one of those, that's four. And then finally a fast bowler, that's Naveen ul Haq. In either case, I don't see Afghanistan playing any more than one legitimate fast bowler in their lineup. They may go for an all-rounder who bats a little and bowls some seam, and he may bowl a couple of overs, may bowl three. That could be Karim Jannat, that could be Kulbadin Naib if he is again inducted into the squad for the T20 World Cup. I don't know, but it seems like right now they just have one frontline fast bowler, and that's Naveen ul Haq. So it's a risk. I think it is a risk that will potentially be costly because I do think you will need some really good fast bowling in UAE. But at the same time, I do think you should go with your strength. And if your strength is leg spin, I think you should heavily invest in it and just go with it and see what happens. You're going to have Hazratullah Zazai as an opener. So that's definitely one another player I had forgotten about. But ink him. I mean, he is dangerous. So you play him as an opener. Uh, Imagine him with Mohammad Shahzad as an opening pair. That would be quite fun to watch. But I don't know what's happening with Mohammad Shahzad. I don't know why they don't play him anymore. But so you got Zazai, and so you need to really figure out another opener for Zazai, and you need to figure out one down, two down, three down. Potentially, Hashmatullah Shahidi and Rahmat Shah make it to the T20 squad. Their strike rate is really low, though. So they're going to really have to demonstrate that they can play T20 cricket as well. So those are the key challenges for Afghanistan with the T20 World Cup. Is top order batting other than Zazai, who else will be there to accompany Zazai and provide Zazai the strike, rotate the strike, and be able to hit boundaries here and there as well. And then how many fast bowlers are you going to pick? Who will be the fast bowler? Is it just going to be one, Naveen ul Haq, or are you going to have actually three fast bowlers? Because I think you will need three fast bowlers in the UAE, even though traditionally it's thought to be a spin-friendly pitch. But we don't know. We have no idea. Maybe it's a seasonal. Maybe in the later down the year it does turn a lot. And if it does, watch out. Then Afghanistan definitely has the potential to upset many teams, even if we call it upset, because their leg spin is high quality. So yeah, with that, I will reach my conclusion. I think Afghanistan is going to be exciting to watch. It will be interesting to see how much the investment in youth will pay dividends or whether it will be a cost. Because I do see there is a definite tendency to induct young players over senior players. In South Asia, traditionally speaking, when that happens, it's red flags because it's a sign that the coaching or the management do not trust working alongside the senior players, and so the best way they try to evade having to work with them is to by just not selecting them and make a case of we're going to bring youth, we're going to make it more exciting, we're going to bring new talent, yada yada yada. It doesn't necessarily work well. You need to have senior players, you need to have their trust, you need to have the capacity to work with them on the field. I hope that's not the case with Afghanistan. I have no reason to believe that is the case. I don't have any evidence for that. But I am concerned about why so many senior players are not in the team any longer, specifically thinking they haven't really necessarily done badly with their performance. So I'll leave it with that. Let's see what you guys have to say about it. Hey, Sharon, how are you?